You're listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by Callum and James in the studio. How you going, guys?
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. We're also joined by a silent guest or audience member,
Audience
Rafal.
member. Live audience.
How you going, Rafal? He says he's good. Okay. So we're
he does exist. We're not hallucinating our audience.
Yeah, that's it.
We've been doing this show so long that I was like,
is he in the room right now, James?
Yeah.
there's no one here, James.
Yeah.
Is he smiling at you?
Oh god.
Yeah, I know, it's smile all over again. Now, so we're talking a little bit more about like video games and stuff this week because a fair bit's happened and we're interested in it.
Yes.
Before we get to, I guess, or Alan, hopefully Alan will be joining us on the show. We're going to talk about our experience over at PAXed with him as well. Overwatch 2 has recently launched.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for audiences, Overwatch is very close to my heart, and we played it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Me, Alan, and Jake all played it religiously for years. Like
Okay,
we got.
Did Callum?
I did.
He's
Sometimes
Not
I
as
he
played.
had a
much.
love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah. I never played it.
But we went deep.
Hmm.
We had a really good time. It was a good time playing that game. And they stopped supporting the game, basically, and they said, oh, we're developing Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it.
All resources are being sort of focused towards Overwatch 2.
Mm.
And we didn't get any new characters, new maps, new modes, and anything like that outside of some skins every now and again, like costumes for your characters.
Yeah.
For years.
Hmm.
And they finally launched Overwatch 2, and it's a shit show.
Mm.
So basically, they've relaunched it as free to play instead of like it wasn't originally. You had to just buy the game, and then you could play it. The problem with that is it has a battle pass and like all this stuff that standard games come
Yeah.
with today, like your Warzone, your Fortnite, your Fall
Season
Guys,
pass,
season pass, like season passes,
Yeah.
battle passes,
Yeah, yeah.
and you level them up to 80 or whatever, 100 or whatever like the cap is, and you get rewards every tier. That's fine. Most of the time, right? When you there's a free battle pass or free tiers in the battle pass, and there's paid battle pass. We unlock extra rewards and stuff. The problem with this is it's a very frugal battle pass. In most games, you earn enough credits or money or whatever kind of currency they use through the free tier, or even if you pay for it once, you earn enough to be able to redeem like another one. If you complete the battle pass, you sort of have enough currency to be able to buy the next one for free.
Okay.
Which is not the case in Overwatch 2. It's very cost.
Yeah. So
They're trying to force you to.
Yeah, essentially they're trying to force you to pay real money.
as a kind of comparison, a game was released this year called Tower of Fantasy, but this is not quite a battle pass. It's more what they call gacha, where you get a chance to pay money to get like a loot box, if you will, and it gives you a chance to get one item from a set of items, with one item being rare, the rest being common or whatever. But in Tower of Fantasy, you earn so much in-game currency just from exploring the world that there's no real reason to pay real money if you engage with the game daily.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my point is like the other games that employ similar systems have a very...
They're trying to keep you playing.
Yeah, but they're also keeping it so you don't have to pay real money to get the interesting stuff.
If you stay engaged.
If you stay engaged.
Yeah.
Whereas Overwatch is very much you need to play extensively all the time to earn... Not even
enough to buy them.
Technically speaking,
Yeah.
if you play enough, you can earn enough in-game currency to buy the battle pass.
It would take you
But
18 months.
The problem,
Something like that.
The problem is you have just in the nick of time before the thing ends.
No, it's going to take you like 18 months to...
Oh, really?
Because it's 1,000 coins for a battle pass. You earn 60 coins a week.
When you say you can only earn 60.
Yeah, that's the...
I must have misunderstood because I read someone that said that you'd have like a week left to after.
Nah. It's
designed
designed to force you to pay.
To force you, yeah.
Basically, it's something like you can get one free battle pass every like 4 paid. Because you can only earn... So I'll do the quick maths, but I think it's you can earn 60 coins a week through completing the weekly challenges.
Yeah.
And the kind of stuff you get in these battle passes is skins, emotes, characters even. So like one of the later rewards is an in-game character that you can use in ranked play. Mm-hmm. And if you can use this character outside of ranked play if you like, I think if we bought the game, or is it just included for free players as well?
Which one? What?
The new characters.
The new characters, if you previously owned the game, you get them unlocked for free. Otherwise, you have to earn them through the battle pass.
So like
they're free tiers, but
Yeah, but they make you work real hard for it, and other games don't really make you work as hard. So I'm hoping that they'll adjust it as they continue, because there's going to be negative feedback, because everyone's going to be comparing them to other similar games, like Fortnite and other things where they have the same system.
I'm pretty sure we talked about Overwatch 2 a few months ago, and I can't remember exactly, but what was there? Was there like a beta test or something that it's because it's already come out?
Now it's out. Yeah.
Now it's out properly.
Yeah.
But there was something we talked about it. It came.
There was a closed beta.
There was a closed beta, and people were complaining because it was basically they stopped supporting the first game. And then we're like, okay, here's the beta, Overwatch 2 is coming. And people were like, but we just want Overwatch 1. This is like just 1.5. Like, what is...
Yeah, very little actually changed.
Yeah.
Except the monetization behind the game.
Yeah, because I'm having trouble remembering, but I remember people complaining, being like, this isn't Overwatch 2. You're just...
Yeah, it's not Overwatch 2. It's just they changed the monetization of the game, gave it a fresh layer of paint, and just like, they took some of the maps out and put some new ones in. You can't fool people into thinking they're getting a new game.
Yeah.
They even... I don't know if this is a technical problem or if it's something they've actually done, but they even seem to have removed skins from certain characters. So there's a whole drama of the back end of the game as well. So like if you earned a skin for, let's just say, Reaper or whatever, like I think he was one of the characters Nathan said was affected. There's like a Reaper skin that people can't access anymore. What was it? Was it Reaper?
I have no idea. I can't remember. I don't know anything about that at the moment.
But yeah, there was like skins that people just don't have anymore that they loved. And it's like, is that a decision by Blizzard? They're not saying.
It seems like, I mean, we've talked about before, like a lot of, it's just predatory kind of business practice.
Yeah. It was 16 and a half weeks of doing all of these challenges to earn a premium battle pass.
Yeah.
And the battle passes go for like 9 weeks. So you're not going to be able to get it every time if you play for free.
Okay.
So they heavily incentivized you towards buying it with cash.
Yeah.
To keep in context here, with Overwatch 1, you bought the game for like $10, but then you got free loot boxes. Again, loot boxes have their own issues.
Yeah.
But every kind of 3 wins or every level up you got a free loot box with a random item, which could be these skins. These costumes now, to buy them with the game currency, is $20 in like our real money terms.
Yeah,
You used to be able to get them for free.
Yeah.
I just looked it up real quick, and it's not just Reaper. It's like it's a back end issue with the game. Like all characters are missing skins, so there's a chance that if you log on, one of your characters would be missing skins. And there's like...
okay, so it's not that they're removing them, it's that they're just...
Well, nobody really knows. As far from when I looked it up just now, I don't think there's much of an official word, so people are assuming it's a bug. But Blizzard isn't exactly known for their stunning customer service.
Yeah, no.
Look, don't get me wrong, the game's fun. Like, I legitimately have a good time with it.
If you can get on it.
If I can get on it. I do legitimately have a good time with it, and it is fun. Like, the new characters are fun.
Yeah.
The changes are interesting to the characters.
Some of the character changes are pretty cool.
Like my main, they changed her so she throws a spear, and it makes me feel powerful. It makes me I feel like a big man, which is the important part.
But look, we'll see. I think there's a lot of issues. Hopefully, it's early on enough that they can sort of reverse some of these really greedy decisions they're making.
They're too far gone. Like they're deliberately they've got their hooks in people.
Yeah, but also
did we not see Diablo? What was the new Diablo game?
Oh yeah,
Diablo Immortal. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's slightly different because that's a mobile game, and they're all like that. The competitors to Diablo Immortal are exactly the same as Diablo Immortal.
Yeah,
those mobile games they're problematic by themselves.
Yeah,
the competitors to Overwatch 2 are like Warzone, Fall Guys, Fortnite, Valorant, Apex Legends, those sorts of games, which generally the battle passes are a bit fairer. So it's apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
I think I'm sure we've discussed similar things, but I don't know if we actually said this. It's just companies like Blizzard are doing things like this to test the waters. Yeah. They're pushing it a bit further every time. So that
see what they can get away with.
Yeah, and then
it's like the boiling the frog analogy.
Yeah, and then other companies will follow suit eventually.
Hopefully, if Microsoft purchases Blizzard, they'll fix it. Because they historically haven't been too keen on going this hard. Like,
I think it's only a matter of time though before. Because look, we already talked about on like Saturday episodes and other video game focused episodes that we did. where how predatory this is and how the whole industry now is just loot boxes and microtransactions. And I feel like it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until it's like a Black Mirror episode where it's like you can't play the game without giving it some of your blood or something. You know?
I think one of the benefits of the Microsoft acquisition is that the way they handled their previous acquisition with ZeniMax was when they acquired Elder Scrolls Online, which had a cash shop. One of their things was they do not believe in paid-only services. There needs to be a way to reasonably earn currency in-game to allow you to acquire similar items to the cash shop. And they did a really good job about that. They made just simple daily play, gave you enough currency once a month or whatever to buy like something cool. And so hopefully if the acquisition goes through, because it's who knows what's going to happen with that thing. That's a whole media disaster on its own. But inshallah, the thing goes through. We will be very lucky because I think Microsoft will take a stern hand to the kind of greedy aspect of it because it's not in their best interest to force customers out of their environment. And they've already shown that they prefer a balanced ecosystem.
I feel like a lot of because I'm sure we've talked about it before, a lot of people like we won't stand for this and then they buy it anyway.
Yeah.
So I have a
that's
feeling...
always a problem. I just think Microsoft as a publisher generally so far hasn't really done anything this nasty.
Yeah, that's why I think they're going to dial it back because everybody knows Activision's a greedy company.
Yeah.
Whereas, Microsoft, that's one of the good things is all the negative press. Microsoft's going to want to be able to counter that when they get in to show that it's a fresh management, fresh coat of paint. So,
although it's like the first week of Overwatch 2, hopefully we'll just see some changes anyway because the reaction's been very negative.
Yeah, that's another thing.
It's still early days.
It's still early days.
It doesn't benefit them to have this kind of negative mindset. Diablo, as Nathan said, is a bit different because it's a different pond entirely.
Yeah.
But Overwatch was once the top of the top, the creme de la creme of shooting games.
Well, the hero-based team shooters.
Yeah. So to see it dropped so low.
Yeah, but it's like most franchises, they kind of crash and burn after
Eventually.
a while because not necessarily because people aren't interested or whatever, but because companies are like, how can we milk this to death?
Yeah. Look, without simping for Microsoft too hard, I think a few of their games are in, we'll say, comparable positions. Halo Infinite has a couple of issues, but it's not,
I've heard people have problems with it.
But it's not that bad.
Yeah, they also had problems during development. They had people come and people leave at inopportune times.
Yeah.
So, and also I think it was like budget stuff as well. So like they had these plans for like local co-op and whatever, but it just didn't make it in. So, but there was I think there was all behind the scenes drama going on that interfered with a lot of their stuff. So like they had like the brainchild leave once, and then another person came in, and that person's now gone or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was just a sad situation all around where they just weren't prepared. They were also, apparently the engine wasn't the best for what they were trying to use it for. They're now moving to Unreal. They're going to be converting the game to Unreal 5.
Okay.
So it's like that speaks to me that the engine must have given them problems somewhere.
You'd think that would know better.
I mean,
I don't know anything about it, so...
It's another example, Sea of Thieves, their monetization is really fair.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So I'm like, look, we'll see. Microsoft so far hasn't really turned the screws, so to speak.
They don't need to. But Games Pass makes $2.9 billion a year based on the leak from the Brazilian court documents. So they don't need any money, man. They can just let Games Pass roll it all in for them.
We've been talking about it off air. Like, I don't think we've talked about it properly on air. But, like, all I play is Xbox now. Like, I don't play PlayStation anymore. I don't even look at my Nintendo Switch.
Speaking of that, have you preloaded Scorn yet?
No, can you do that?
You can do that.
Can.
It comes out on Friday.
Oh, yeah, they moved it up a week.
They did.
Have
you know why?
excited.
Because Phil Spencer likes you. That's
Yeah.
why.
Well, it should... Since Alam's still not here... Alam, if you're listening, you're in trouble. Since he's still not here... I might as well take the time on our first Saturday episode, like 2 months ago, we were talking like video games and stuff, and I was like, I got the Series X because there's a whole bunch of games coming out in October that I want to play.
That's it.
And now it's October, including, and Scorn is the main one. And I was talking to you guys, I'm like, I don't know what I want to play. I've been playing a few hours of No Man's Sky just to have something to play on the new system. but like it's not really. I'm just doing it because I can pick it up and drop it. And I was like trying to decide what to play, and you guys were trying to help me. Anyway, after that episode, I started because I really wanted to play Psychonauts 2 because that came out last year, I think.
Have you replayed number 1 first?
Well, that's what I'm saying is, but first I wanted to replay the first one because it's been a while since I played it. So I finished Psychonauts, the first one. I replayed that on the Series X.
How nice is it on the Series X?
Oh, yeah.
Do you like all the enhancements? And...
The game, when you're playing the game, it's really smooth and it looks nice. It's just the cutscenes because they were made 20 years ago.
They're all like standard definition in like 20
it's all fuzzy, yeah. But that lends to some of the charm. But Psychonauts is such a great game. One of the best kind of action platformers. It's so funny.
Gets overlooked a lot too.
Yeah, I don't think...
Because it was an Xbox title or
I think they made a mistake with when they released a follow-up. It was a VR game. Well,
that's the thing. But it came out... The first game came out in 2005. Yeah. And I think it didn't do super well. Like, it's kind of like a cult...
It's definitely got a cult following. Yeah. I just think when they tried to sort of bring it back, they brought it back as a VR game.
No, but that's what I'm saying is when it did come back, it was like over like 16 years later. And then they did the VR thing. But the VR thing was more of a...
It's really just a tech demo.
Yeah,
almost.
Pretty much because it's like an hour long and it just sets up the story for the second game, which is actual proper sequel to the first game, an actual proper platforming game. So anyway, I finished Psychonauts 1, really enjoyed it. It was great to relive that. It's such a great game, so funny. Now I'm playing Psychonauts 2.
Thoughts?
It's great. It looks fantastic.
I haven't played it. I've had it installed for the longest time.
I feel like kind of like with the first one, not enough people are playing it. Not enough people are talking about it. And I think it needs more of a
word of mouth. Yeah. I know it did sell a lot when it came out, but I think now that it's one of the only problems I could see with Games Pass is that like once a game is firmly on Games Pass, people are probably going to stop talking about it after they've played it. It's just like I'll be honest,
it's like a streaming
every
movie.
game that's in my Games Pass library, I treat it like it's on my shelf.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why am I going to tell other people about it? I know if James has Games Pass, for example, I know he's got it, and that's the way I treat it. It's kind of like I own it. I don't own it, but
part of the problem with Games Pass is, okay, so Microsoft made Psychonauts 2, right? That's never going to leave Games Pass. So why should people feel like I don't need to play that now because I know it's not going to go anywhere.
There's no urgency.
I've got to focus on the games that are going to leave soon or they will leave.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's like it's nice to have a place where you know it's there, and it's not going to be removed like whatever HBO and Netflix are doing, removing stuff. But on the other hand, it does remove. It's like Callum said, it's on my shelf. I don't need to. I can get to it later.
Whenever, and like me, you just never do.
Yeah, and then eventually when you do get to it and you're like, this is amazing. I got to tell everyone about this. No one's played it and didn't make enough money to make more games.
Yeah, exactly.
Which happens a lot, I think.
But I think Microsoft recently this year, they've been doing quite a lot of work in like really just financing smaller games. Like, you know what I mean? Like getting some of those games you don't really see made anymore.
I think we talked about it. Like one Psychonauts is a game they don't really make anymore. And I think we talked about it where like I don't even play mainstream AAA titles anymore. Look, because they're all loot boxy and they're all.
I think we got two camps of your mainstream game now. You got your shooter looter, like that kind of stuff. You said more loot boxy, and you've got the single player games, which, like you've got your Assassin's Creed Odysseys, and they're all kind of similar.
Yeah, and those are the whole open world thing. I'm not interested in.
It's too much of a commitment.
Yeah. So
where's that mid game?
And they like churn them out a lot. It's like the same game, just kind of reskinned. The whole COD. Like I stopped playing COD years ago. Yeah, Far Cry. I stopped playing that. So like I just play like indie games and like fun, weird, interesting games.
Like there's a game on Games Pass called Tiny Kin, right? And it's only like
a 10-hour game. I think you told me about that. Yeah.
And it's like a old school kind of like Pikmin meets like. I don't know, Mario kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's like it's a smaller scale game, but it's like, but would it exist without Games Pass? Would it make any money? Probably not.
Yeah.
But it's like the kind of smaller scoped games that we see now on stuff like Games Pass.
Yeah.
That we don't really see anywhere else. Because Sony really just is more focused when they're developing a game or putting a game on their service. It's either like they have some, they have like Stray,
Yeah.
but mostly it's like God of War, and it's like The Last of
Yeah.
Us remade for the 5th time.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like they're remaking Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that's Jesus. Like I like there are still AAA games that I'm very much interested in, but like
They don't take risks.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say at the end of
Yeah.
a big long-winded way to say they don't take risks.
Yeah, when the first Psychonauts came out in like 2005, it's like there were weird kind of interesting games that were mainstream, that were AAA. Now you don't have that anymore.
Like for instance, Scorn.
Yeah,
I don't know the business practice, but I'm sure
that's from as far as I know, it's a very small studio.
Yeah.
I think that's what more like maybe a AA title.
Yeah, but
And
that's what I want to see more of.
Exactly, and I think we're getting to a point now where video game development is accessible enough for people to make games, and so you got like small studios making very polished, and they can get access to like Unreal Engine 5, which is like the most amazing, most realistic looking thing.
Yeah.
And they can make something that is pretty much as good as a AAA title, but is weirder and a bit different and more
exactly.
interesting.
And look, I don't know how Microsoft work and how much money they throw at these companies, but we know that Scorn's been coming to Games Pass since it's been announced.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the fact that they've put in the time to actually advertise and market this game as well. It's like it's giving confidence to all of these companies that are making that smaller budget
exactly
title.
like what. So they say that the most costly part of game development isn't actually the development; it's the marketing.
Oh, definitely,
so can you imagine how happy those devs would have felt when Microsoft was like, "We want to flagship this for Games Pass"?
Did we talk about it on a Saturday episode, or were we talking about it off air? Where you're like they give these small studios like enough money.
Oh yeah, I think we're talking about it off air where people criticize Games Pass for being bad for the industry or whatnot because people aren't going to buy the games. And you talk to, mostly on Twitter, some of these actual game developers who have got games on Games Pass, and they say, you say that, but Microsoft straight up dropped a dump truck of cash at my house and paid for like a year of my life.
Yeah. And now
like it's easy for you to say, oh, but no one's going to buy your game, but it's like Microsoft's buying their game like 100,000 times for these companies.
And they basically funded their next game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they never would have been able to do otherwise.
And I don't think the developer's really going to care that it's like, oh, people are going to be able to play it on Games Pass for a year or two or however long the contract lasts. It's like, no, they just got their house paid off. I don't think they care right now.
But also, it's not that just they don't care, they got the money. It's like it's in a place that's relatively accessible and relatively affordable.
Well,
and it's not locked there in a way that makes it inaccessible to people who don't have Games Pass. Because I've bought a lot of games that are on Games Pass because I don't have it, because I don't play enough.
The interesting thing is that they want it to be separate from the console itself. So the end game for Games Pass is it'll be on TVs, and all you need is an Xbox controller.
Well,
so it'll be on
that'll
TVs.
Be cool.
There's rumors that they're coming out with like a cloud stick, like like the Google sticks you bring TV, and then like you stream off of the stick. So if you're going somewhere, you can just bring your controller and the stick and just plug it in and start playing. So like the end game is this really accessible environment. It's not a console. It's like Games Pass is its own separate entity.
It's on Bing now.
Yeah,
it's rolling out on Bing. No, if you type in
in the browser,
and even on Amazon, it's like there's in some countries on the Amazon pages for games, there's a Play with Games Pass Cloud now.
That's cool.
So like it's this whole thing where they're trying to build an environment for accessibility.
So you don't need a console; you just stream it from their servers.
Right. That's the end goal.
That's
interesting. Everyone's focusing on hardware sales.
I mean, you probably need a gigabit to play in any good resolution.
Microsoft is the best.
No, in 50 years, for example, Xbox is like the hardware for nerds. Where it's like most of the people will be playing Games Pass games wherever they are, whether it be on a phone or on your TV or our hollow display screens because it's 50 years in the future. Yeah,
or beam it right directly into your eye.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll just say one more thing. It was when Xbox One came out, it was such a disaster. It was like that whole always online connect. You have to have the Connect connected, and Sony was like, "Oh, we can do whatever we want."
Here's how you lend a game to your friend.
And you just pass. It was like, haha, and it was like, "Oh, Xbox," and I was always kind of like an Xbox guy, and then I was like, "No, that's dumb. I'm getting the PS4." And now, a few years
the script
later,
is kind of flipping.
It's completely flipped. Like Sony is just
It's like no
bunch of
PS5s.
jokers.
You can get an Xbox if you try, right?
Yeah.
There's no PS5s anywhere, and then they raise the price. Why? Because we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Like it's like no, but someone did a
Exactly.
teardown over the new PS5, and the parts are cheaper than the old PS5.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you raising the price?
Because they can.
Because
And
artificial scarcity.
yeah, and people pay for it.
Yeah, and people will pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the whole Darth Vader thing, pray we don't alter the deal further.
Yeah.
Like,
So speaking of paying for PlayStation 5s, we're joined by Alan in the studio.
hey, he sells them, all right?
Finally, look who decided to show up.
Busy man.
Any thoughts on Xbox versus PlayStation? I know you're a Sony man.
No, Xbox is winning it clearly at this point.
Yeah.
Sony's done kind of anti-consumer thing after anti-consumer thing.
Yeah.
Just because they were, they had the, what do you want to call it? They had some positive karma from last generation.
Yeah,
But
They
now
had
they
to burn it.
Yeah.
they had to burn it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
When it was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Allegedly-
people like us? How dare they?"
allegedly, their latest thing is paying companies lots of cash just to not go on Games Pass. Not put their
Yeah.
games on their own. Not put their games on their own PlayStation
Yeah, just
Plus
bribes.
service. Just to give them
Pretty
money,
much
just to not go on Xbox.
Everything Sony's doing is like stamping their feet, being like, "Oh, we don't like Microsoft," and they're not actually doing anything for themselves.
Well, it's the whole kind of running a positive campaign versus a negative
Yeah.
campaign, right? And at the moment, you've got Microsoft trying their best to run a positive campaign.
yeah,
Like they've got a website now. Like here's what good things will happen if we can acquire Activision Blizzard. I mean, it's them or Tencent.
Yeah.
It's like let's be real, it's them, Tencent, Facebook, or Apple. No one wants those other
No,
guys to
no,
own
yeah.
Activision Blizzard and own your data.
yeah,
And it's like Sony's just trying to stop it.
yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't have enough money to buy them. What would you do?
They're sore losers, and yeah, like they're running a negative. Instead of saying we're awesome, come over to Sony, they're saying Microsoft sucks.
Yeah.
Don't go over to
It's-
them, and not offering
Look,
anything.
I'm not going to be innocent here and say negative campaigns don't work because they do. For a lot of people, they do. But it's just not nice. It's not nice politics. It's not a nice way to play the game.
No, yeah,
We'll be right back after this short break. You are back on the Tuesday review. So PAX happened this weekend just passed, and 3 of us in the studio went.
yeah. I didn't
The
go.
Penny Arcade exhibition.
It's like exhibition for like new games.
It's
and
video games, it's tabletops, board games,
Yeah.
card games.
it's like Comic-Con for video games.
Yeah, it's Comic-Con for video games. And, normally all of the big exhibitors are there. You've got Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. EB usually kind of co-partners and co-hosts the whole thing.
yeah.
It's sort of EB Expo merged with PAX.
Okay.
But EB was not present this year, neither were Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft.
Yeah, so
So
all
it
the
was-
big studios.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we think it's a natural reaction to COVID.
Yeah.
We
This is
think-
the recovery year.
This is the recovery year, and it was always going to be a bit sparse, but oh boy.
Because you guys go every year, and I was planning to go, but it didn't work out. And then you guys were like, "Oh no, it was crap."
Pretty much. I think I enjoyed it the least out of everyone. Because, so for context, the last PAX that I can remember, the Sony and Xbox exhibitions were awesome. So there was just like an open area where there were consoles and displays set up
Yeah.
with games that were either kind of new or unreleased.
Yeah.
So it's like you could play, and there were a few games that had been out for a while, like there was like Lucky's Tale or whatever. But anyway, it was really interesting to get your hands on games that hadn't been released, and there was like very little, because there were so many stations, there wasn't a huge queue.
Yeah.
So it's like me and Jake and Nathan and Alan and Christian, we could just go and play games, and it was great that way. But because no one was there this year, there was just the indies. And personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the indie developers this year because, like, at least half of the games weren't games that you would traditionally play at an exhibition. So it was like real-time strategy
Yeah,
games.
it's not something you can just get a quick taste
Yeah,
of.
visual novels, for example. I feel there was a few RPGs, like stuff that you need to be able to sink some time into to get a feel for it. And like, it's an exhibition. There's people everywhere.
When you've got like 1 to 3 computers showcasing the game, and there's 20 people that want to have a go,
Yeah,
but to have a proper go, it's going to take you half an hour. That's just,
it's
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I think also you got to keep in mind with the big exhibitors not there. Usually you've got the hall is divided into 2, right? You've got tabletop and everything else on one side, and video games on the other.
Yeah.
But because this year was mainly just like shops, like M-Wave, HyperX, Audio Technica, like computer shops.
Yeah.
Like there's just basically like shops and then the indie games. So and there was Final Fantasy, which was like booked out of like 8 hours as soon as they opened, right?
Yeah.
So it's like really, like, that made it worse because
Yeah.
if you wanted to see a video game outside of a couple of things,
Everyone was
it was
lining up for
just
it. Yeah.
it was just indies.
Yeah.
Outside of a couple of extras, like we'll get into later. But so that kind of really compounded the situation because normally when you had the big exhibitors there, it's kind of spread out a bit more. The crowds are spread out. But when the video games are like almost just exclusively the indies, of course, everyone who wants to play video games is going to go there, right? And so
Yeah.
the crowd's going to be much bigger. So it was hard for any of us really to play any video games. I think
Because we weren't there lining up for the doors to open. We came because we parked at the exhibition this year, so it was like super smooth for us. So we get there, we stroll right in. There's no queues. The downside is we were like the back of the. If we wanted to play the new Sonic game, for example, back of the queue.
Yeah, they had Sonic. What games did we actually play? We played a cool snowboarding game, skiing
Yeah,
game.
that was an indie snowboarding game. There was a 2D Souls-like.
Yeah, that was
game.
difficult.
That was like
Yeah.
almost Metroid-esque as well.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice. We played unreleased Street Fighter.
Yes, I beat Alamy in Street Fighter 6.
I won one of the rounds.
It was really funny because he was getting so upset because it was Marvel vs. Capcom. I whooped his ass. He wasn't happy about that.
Yes.
And then he was like, "I'll show you. We'll play Street Fighter." And then we did, and I beat him. So
Yeah.
That's okay, Alan. The game's not finished yet. Maybe it's just not ready for.
It could just be bugging.
Yeah.
I maintain it. Come play Tekken.
It's not. It's unbalanced.
Alright, we'll
I'll
play
juggle you so hard.
No,
Forest Law.
but I think look, we had some fun. We played. Like we just played console free play for a while.
Yeah.
It's like
We were talking about off air how it's also you have to decide if you want to waste your time at the exhibition in line for most of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of trade off of like, do I really want to play this game and stand in line for hours?
I think this was the first year where we were kind of just like, nah.
Yeah.
On the
Like-
on the shop aspect of things, so one of the reasons I like going to PAX is because they have a lot of merch there that can be a little difficult to get elsewhere. So like there's King's Comics, of course, they're there every year, and I bought I usually buy like one comic from them every time I go, just cause you know they have the Image Comics there, and I'm like I love Image Comics. So anyway, the other reason that the merch areas are so great is because like you can get like dice there, like role playing dice, but also like. Indie tabletop games sell their wares there and stuff like that. So you can pick up really interesting RPGs and stuff like that. But this year it was all just what they call 5th edition books. So it was all D&D supplements basically. And I was kind of bored by it. I'm like, everything's the same this year. There was only one interesting game, and it's not new, but like I haven't seen it played elsewhere, called Dragon Dice, and so I bought that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was really disappointed in the selection of wares. It was either board games or D&D supplements. That was it, and dice. And like there was like one dice set that I really wanted, but it was $175. And I'm like, it's just dice. Like, they don't need to become jewelry.
That's the other thing. Usually
Yeah.
you can get a good discount at PAX.
Yeah, not this year.
Oh
But
no,
I
everything's
found
going
like
up.
this year, honestly, you can get probably better discounts off shopping
and
online.
Again, that's
Yeah.
probably the COVID impact of things as well. They probably thought maybe we can't take the hit that we normally would. Because I suppose if you're an indie, especially if you're a small business or an indie selling their own stuff, PAX is a great time for you to make connections with people, like, make new fans of your brand.
Because it's not just companies there; it's like people who make their own stuff and are like selling it.
And companies, like there's a lot of company to company connections.
Yeah.
So I found out that Dragon Dice talked to distributors at PAX, so they're interested in maybe selling Dragon Dice in other stores around Victoria. But it's like it's one of those things where it's a great place to be if you are a businessman or woman or whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like I said, I think that everyone did it tough during COVID, especially small business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be better deals next year. I imagine
think-
this year everyone was just a bit.
This year was the
needed to
bounce
shore up
back, and
their-
then hopefully next year, and hopefully next year if Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo announce they're not coming again, then you guys know what you're in for.
Well, that's the thing that you don't know.
Oh, they don't announce it?
No, not until
No,
you
so
pop the badges.
That's annoying.
So basically, when you buy the
And I
early
guess they
bird-
can pull out
you
at
get-
any time,
You get
even
a
after
discount.
you've bought it.
Yeah, you get a discount for buying early bird badges, right?
Yeah.
When we buy our badges, that's when they go on sale for the
Yeah.
early bird discount. But you don't know who's going to be at the exhibition.
Yeah.
We didn't know until
'Cause-
almost the week before that when they released like the app and you got a map and stuff and you can see who's there.
Yeah.
We didn't know until we got there, basically.
Because, obviously the last few years, like no exhibitions have been happening, E3 and all that. So it'll be interesting to see if Sony and Microsoft and they come back at all.
Yeah, I think they will eventually.
Yeah.
But some of it was weird this year. It was a weird year.
Yeah.
Like Amazon Prime Video had a booth.
Yeah, and like again, you think, okay, fine, they need things to fill the space, but then people are actually lining up to watch
The boys.
The Boys or Jack Ryan or
That's
the
so.
Lord of the Rings TV show.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're
You
coming
can
to PAX to sit in a booth and watch an episode of a TV show.
But you wait in
Mind you,
line.
like
for
that
it.
being said,
Yeah.
I wait in line.
No,
for
no,
it.
no. That being said, let's not forget that like PAX is a weird thing. So like there will be 100 people sitting down all playing their DS, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like there are people who would go to PAX and be like, I feel like watching an episode of The Boys, and then they'll
It's-
go and watch
we
an
were
episode of The
talking
Boys
about-
just cause.
We'll
It's
talk-
expensive episode of The Boys, I must say.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's my point. It's an expensive
Well-
place to be to just sit down and play your DS.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an expensive weekend for me.
That's whose fault was that?
It was my fault.
There we go.
All right.
Do you want
I
to?
I'll divulge. All right. We get there on day 2, and I can't find my badge anywhere.
Oh, you have to buy a new ticket.
Well,
you-
Saturday sold out.
Saturday it sold out. So we
Oh.
went to the booth, and at the time I thought I dropped it on leaving the house, or I dropped it in Alan's car or something. So we had a look in the car, couldn't find it. That's fine. Me and Christian, silent producer of the show,
Yeah.
he we went up to the badge office. I'm look, I think I've lost my badge. What can we do? It's register. You register your badges in your name, whatever. So it's fine.
Yeah.
They'd be able to look me up or whatever. There's nothing they could do, and the lady told me to enjoy LobbyCon, which is the people that rock up without badges just to see all like the fanfare stuff that goes on outside of the
Yeah.
hall.
Yeah.
Which
That's
I'm like,
kind of rude.
yeah, but no, like I understand where she was coming from. Like, there's still some fun to be had, but
Yeah.
not really. So I Ubered it home, found my badge, and had to Uber it back.
Yeah.
So, it's an expensive weekend. But that's okay. But to be fair, my Uber driver was doing 110 on the ring road on the way home in the 80
So you
zone.
got there
I'm
fast.
like, yeah, it's not my license.
But it's your life.
Yeah.
That being said, the food was like the best part. The food trucks were pretty good
Actually,
this year.
Food trucks usually hit and miss.
Yeah.
But we found the one food truck we did like.
The sausages, man.
The sausages. What was it? The Kaisers? Or what was it called?
Yeah, the Kaiser's sausages, I
The
believe.
Kaiser sausages, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like,
A bunch of bratwursts.
Yeah, that was so nice.
chunky.
I used to get them with
The sauerkraut.
mustard, and some tomato sauce. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
It was good.
But Callum was telling me about a tabletop. Oh no, Nathan and Callum were talking about.
Well, on the
table.
third day, Callum decided he was done with PAX.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Look, to be fair, I know it was not a popular decision, like in the eyes of the boys, but PAX sucked this year. Like, I already seen it. So I had seen everything PAX had to offer, apart from the tabletop, which was booked out fully from the minute we got there.
Yeah.
Like 4 times I'd done loops and so on, seen everything. I was like, I already know what's there.
Mm.
I'm like, eh.
And so we went in, lined up, and because it was Sunday, because a lot of people that like Callum had become disappointed, disillusioned, decided not to come on the Sunday.
Yeah.
We got ourselves a nice booking for a sci-fi-esque game.
Yeah, so we played a hospitality role-playing game.
Yeah. Tabletop.
Yeah. Called Xander, in which we were basically... So, like, the
And this guy, is he Victorian? Do we know?
he's Australian. I don't know if he's Victorian necessarily.
So this is an Indie-Australian tabletop author.
Mm.
But he, basically, so he created this story around once every, 100 years or whatever it was. There's, like, a Galactic Federation kind of annual summit, or centennial summit.
Yeah.
And we were basically the help,
Yeah.
which there was... Alan was
With
the
catering.
MC. I was the head waiter. Jake was the holo designer, and the fourth player
Yeah.
was
She was a chef.
The chef. And we just had to basically survive. And the guy's like, "Oh, there's no way to win this." And Alan's like, "We'll see."
Challenging. So
Yeah, this poor guy had no idea who was sitting at his table.
We have a very big habit of derailing
But
campaigns
it's
and
not-
going where we want to go.
It's not so much about derailing, about challenging the
Oh, yeah,
challenging
like,
your DM, right?
Definitely getting off the beaten path.
Finding the boundaries of the rules.
Yeah, find
Yeah.
the boundaries of the rules.
That poor guy.
And the dude, this is like the first time the dude was showcasing this game. I will give credit to the dude. He's Dognut Boy, aka Stuart L. Holmes. His Twitter is @StuartH_VA. You can find all his games on his website. Yeah, so it was the first time he'd actually been showing this game off.
Yeah.
And the rules are fairly simple. It was nice.
Yeah, that's what's cool. We were talking about the other day of how, like, if you make a game, like a tabletop game, you come up with your own rule system and your own lore and, like, background for the characters and stuff. Like, you can exhibit it at
if you're lucky enough, I
PAXed.
suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you can get a table there or whatever, and people can come and play it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so we got rocked up on Sunday morning, and we were lucky enough to get the last available positions for this game for 11 o'clock. We got there at 10:30, so we walked straight in, basically.
Yeah, so we sat and had some brats. And
Yes,
then we came on down to
Brat breakfast.
Yeah,
Yes, this poor man did not know quite what to expect. Like, to be fair, he's probably nervous as well, right?
Yeah.
There's like 1,000 people. He's gonna be doing this like every day, all day.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's had mostly, I'd imagine, relatively vanilla players. They just want experience. And we're like, let's see what we can do here.
that's it. And yeah, well, Alan derailed the game a couple of times.
It wasn't just me.
No, all
Jake
right.
helped.
Yeah.
You know?
So at one point there was a giant worm which we were meant to use in some recipe in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we had some
wrestle the worm, like squeeze the juice out of it.
there was some amnesia potion or something like that we had, some amnesia pod,
Yeah.
which we meant to also use the little we'll cut off and throw away or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the guy intended for us to be using it on like a politician or
Yes.
for something to happen.
Yeah.
And then Jake's like, give it to the worm and make him think that Alan, like he's Alan's son. And the dude's just like, what is going on here? Like, I'm losing control.
So we changed it from being my son to one of the team. So we gave it the pod. It obviously forgot who it was. I said, forget everything except breathing and fine dining. It was like the SpongeBob episode. And so we put a little bow tie on the worm, and he's like put a little plate on his head, and he's like serving hors d'oeuvres and stuff.
I feel bad for the guy.
Look, he gave us these items, and we did what we could with. We locked a dog in the pantry, never let it out.
It was a robot dog. No dogs were harmed.
Yeah.
The power of imagination.
And I think in the end there was some sort of
Spoiler alert for this game.
spoiler of this game, but
Yeah.
you're the DM, like you
Yeah.
know, you can run it differently. We meant to I guess choose a side sort of thing with some sort of sensitive data.
Yeah, there's a tablet of sensitive data that one politician had. We took it off them, but another politician got hold of it. And basically that tablet could be sold for a very large sum of money, but it would also ruin basically the empires that were coming together here.
Yeah.
So we were basically, ideally, I think, to play the campaign, you're supposed to stop or convince this politician either with the amnesia potion or some other way to not, divulge this data. So what we did in typical our fashion was we took the data off the guy and we sold it ourselves.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were going to do.
We decided to extort the situation.
and we won.
And we won.
Yeah, we
because
won.
we earned a planet apiece. And it was revealed to us later on that, the original person, Xander, who invites you to this gig to work, wasn't actually going to pay you. So most people actually ended up walking out of here just alive.
Yeah.
Whereas we walked out with a profit, So
So they won.
But again, we gave him some ideas.
winning the unwinnable game,
Yeah, that's how we do.
Yeah.
Look, overall, PAX was a little underwhelming this year. Like, hopefully it rebounds next year when there's more confidence.
Well, yeah, I was going to come in 2019 and I couldn't, and then the pandemic happened.
I think our
and
problem
then-
is we always say we should try and apply for media passes. We're on radio and all this kind of stuff, and we never do.
because you guys go every year, and I'm always like, I'll go next year. But next year I might actually go. Because I like those ideas of like the tabletop and the kind of indie, like that guy you were talking about. You said he made it during COVID. Like everyone was in lockdown. He's like, I'm gonna make my own tabletop RPG game.
Yeah.
Like that interests me of like that homebrew industry.
Yeah, and it is interesting, and there's lots of people
The
there.
the big Microsoft, Nintendo things is like, who cares? I'm going to see that on the internet tomorrow.
Yeah.
The day after the.
No, that is one of the most unique things about PAX is you get to see these games often before they're released to public.
Yeah.
Or you get to see a lot of that as it's sort of growing, I guess.
And you get to see them before they're kind of swept under the wave of more mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is a great way, especially for local indies, to kind of get their head above the water and say, hey, look, I've got something cool.
Not just role-playing, video games as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Like,
what I mean.
at least half of the PAX this year was games made specifically in Melbourne.
There's a growing
because
industry
We're
here.
like the only state that really throws money into the video game industry.
with the artist.
the arty
The
stuff.
home of Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, we laugh, but the Victorian government paid a large sum of money to that studio.
Yeah.
They probably made a return.
Same
what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like that's
Cod
business.
Was Cod with the Lamb
Immediately
made
they
in
moved to
Victoria?
Ireland.
Yeah,
that's it,
Cult of the
taxation.
Lamb you were saying the other day was
Made in Victoria.
Australian
Yeah, that's
at
Victorian.
least. Yeah.
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 You could
So-
buy T-shirts from them like as well. They had all kinds of merch.
Yeah.
So they must be
that
rolling
game
in
blew
it.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Victoria, and at least in Australia, is the place to be if you're a video game development company. Before we run out of time, Alan, I hear you played some Overwatch 2.
Yes.
And I got to tell him. I'm sorry to toot my own horn. I got a 10-player kill streak. Not to brag.
Yeah, no, Callum's doing quite well with Overwatch.
Very good.
Orisa represent.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I
They're gonna
started,
nerf her, don't you worry.
I started with Lucio, and they took my damn skin away.
Oh,
So I had a very, very special skin.
It's happening to everyone.
It was the Ribbit skin, but it was in blue.
okay.
I think it was called like Toxic or something, or Poison Dart.
Hmm.
And it was only available to buy using like the competition coins. And it's just gone. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
For initially, like when Jake saw it, he's like, "You're wearing the standard costume." I'm like, okay. So did your account get completely wiped? Because some people have had that happen.
Yeah,
Thankfully, it wasn't that.
I've been very petty
Mm.
because there's an influx of new players. I've been going through my skin selection and being like, you can't ever get this skin, I'll wear that. You can't ever get this skin, I'll wear that. The challenge skins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
What do you mean?
So back in the day, Overwatch used to have a couple of events here and there with like, if you play during this time and you win so many games, you'll get a special skin that you can only win during this event.
Yeah.
And I've been wearing all those skins.
Oh,
So people
okay.
can look at me being like,
So you're like
I have
jealous?
no idea what that is
Yeah.
here, basically.
Yeah.
Alan would be the king of that, I'm sure. He has
I'd
more
say
than me.
Jake.
In,
Probably more
in
than
terms of your
Yeah.
missing skins, there are a lot of people missing skins. We're assuming it's a bug.
Yeah.
It sounds like if people are losing completely like their whole account as well, it might just be teething problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was saying to Callum at the start of the show, I'm hoping it's not like a deliberate predatory practice from Blizzard going like, we're going to make people spend more money by,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you want your account fixed? Give us $50.
yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised.
Because the
You
skin
can't put
itself
anything
can't even
past
be
them.
found anymore, so
Yeah.
it's like completely gone from the game, which makes more of that teething issue sense. But it's still disappointing to start off with. But overall, playing the
fun.
game, having
It's
a lot
still
of fun.
fun?
It's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
So
like-
the game itself isn't bad, it's just the rollout.
It's
yeah.
the rollout
Yeah,
and the
and
monetization.
the monetization.
And the fact that you can't even get on to play, you have to wait
brings
like
up-
an hour for it to get a match.
Blizzard has never had a good rollout apart from I guess Diablo Immortal. Like every
Which-
time
which nobody wanted.
Which
'cause
again,
nobody wanted
no
to
the,
play.
one
mo- the
wanted.
mobile
Yeah.
game, yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Like in terms of the log on and stuff like that, like they've never had a smooth launch.
Mm.
So it's kind of expected. Although Overwatch 2's launch is probably the worst we've seen so far.
Mm. So,
props to them.
Is it worth, because they've like shut down Overwatch 1, is this worth it?
Well, it's free.
It's free.
Okay,
Like-
fair enough.
It's the actual gameplay routine, the gameplay loop is still very fun.
Okay.
It's just, if you feel like you need to buy a certain costume or
Yeah,
skin,
that's that.
it
part.
might hurt you.
Yeah.
But the actual game is a great time to play with friends, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good if you're playing with friends. It's really fun.
This just popped into my head. Sorry, it's a bit off topic. There's a new game out where you have to put your mobile number in to play.
COD.
Or they
okay.
tried that with Overwatch 2, but they took it away from the back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's because there was a huge backlash.
Look,
Wait,
there's
what-
some
what-
problem. There are some countries which have prepaid cell phone numbers,
yeah,
but the numbers aren't static, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of countries where I think it was with Call of Duty where they just can't play Call of Duty
It happened
anymore.
with Overwatch 2 as well.
Yeah, they
yeah,
just
see, I don't like any
they,
of that
yeah,
stuff.
and they're saying this isn't fair just because the way our country handles like mobiles or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the same as in Australia where if you get a prepaid SIM card, you pretty much keep your number. There are different systems in other countries that work a bit differently.
Yeah.
So they're locked out of Call of Duty, and even if you talk to support, they're like, "Sorry,
Well,
you need the one phone
Static
number to
number,
attach
yeah.
it to."
They disabled that from Overwatch 2, luckily.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a security feature, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
There's so many other ways to do two-factor authentication.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's apps for that shit.
Yeah.
you know.
yeah. Just Google
I-
Authenticator.
I
Yeah.
think it's more so that they can be like, to stop
Track your
swatting and
data.
all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
their idea of like trying maintaining decency.
I don't
But
like
it's-
any of
it's-
that kind of
no.
DR. Any
That's it. We're all playing with VPNs now. That'll learn them.
yeah.
Callum's like, no, don't encourage him, Alan, please.
like already there, man, already there.
No, yeah, I hate any of that, like having to sign into a third-party thingy and then getting it.
Yeah.
And it's like having to make a Ubisoft Plus account. It's like I hate all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I know. Yeah,
Makes me mad. I miss games where you just like put the cartridge in and you push play
it.
on the thing.
Yeah.
And then you got to pull the cartridge out and blow on it.
Yeah, because it didn't work the first time.
Well, they recently fixed the Xbox with that too. So now you don't need online authentication to play just disc play anymore.
Yeah, there's a
Good.
So
I
if
saw-
if your Xbox is offline, you just put the disc in, you can play whatever's
Good.
on the disc.
Yeah.
I saw.
that's a good
So
thing.
there was an article I read a while ago that said one of their plans for the future is to allow you to designate a home console, which you can do already. But if you put a disc into your home console, you can say, "This is my main console,"
Yeah.
and then you can play discless for those games.
Okay.
I read an article. I don't know if they've scrapped it or if it's like down the line sometime. But apparently they're trying to make it so their DRM can detect what console you're using with the disc.
Yeah.
So like you can say like I'm putting a disc in here so you know I own the disc, but then I'm only able to play it on this console without the disc. So you don't have to have your disc library. You don't have to keep getting discs out all the time.
That's cool because like I love physical.
Yeah, but it's a pain sometimes to get all your discs out and swap them around. And
Yeah, so that's actually a cool idea for me.
I'm hoping they're going to continue it. I haven't heard anything since, but I'm
Well,
hoping
it makes sense
next
because
year maybe.
they basically install the game on your console anyway, and then you just did the disc is only there for
It's a
like,
check,
It's just a
license
key.
check. Yeah.
Because like there with Xbox, there's a lot of like old original Xbox games where if you already have the original Xbox game, you just put it in and it downloads the digital version onto your hard drive. But you have to always have it in while you're playing that game, and sometimes it's a bit annoying.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
just
I
a
have to go
license check,
find my old copy of Battlefront 2 from 2005 and then put it in.
Yeah.
But
it's,
that's cool. At least you don't have to double.
Hopefully
dip.
hopefully they do it.
Yeah, that it sounds like a good idea.
I reckon that's all the time we've got for tonight.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page.
Yeah. Twitter, Instagram, @TuesdayReviewAU.
You can listen to other episodes on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. We're back next week. Adios, cousins.